Come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off because today I'll be sharing a bit of a how to play and reviewing SpongeBob Squarepants Fluxx from Looney Labs. So, is this a must have for fans of the Nickelodeon series? Or if you purchase this, will this simply be discarded into the depths of your gaming collection? You're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, I will be sharing how to play and reviewing SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx in just a moment. But I do want to remind you, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell because it will not only let you know when I upload my reviews and unboxings and so on and so forth. It'll also let you know when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. All right, as mentioned, we are going to dive into SpongeBob Squarepants Fluxx, which is from Spin Master Games, Looney Labs, as well as Nickelodeon. Designed by Andrew Looney with artwork provided by the late Stephen Hillenburg. Game is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 10 to 40 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $20 for this specialty edition. So let's swing on over to the other camera, and I will start showing you how to play SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx. Here we've got SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx, which is from Spin Master Games and Looney Labs. Do want to mention that I previously did an unboxing. I shared all of the cards that come in this game. So if you want to get a look at every single card, by all means, check out my previous unboxing. I'll throw a card up there for you to click on if you'd like to check that out and then come back for the review. But I am going to share a little bit of a how to play as well as my thoughts about SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx. If you've already played Fluxx in the past, you know how the rules are. There's really not a lot that's different in the SpongeBob edition here, except for the fact that we don't have as many types of cards as we would usually see in many of the various different Fluxx games. Here we've got 4 different types. Sometimes we'll see as many as 6 different types. And I am going to discuss the different types of cards, kind of give you an idea how the game plays as well. So one of the things I do want to mention, this comes with a little collector's coin inside with this edition, as well as 7 bonus cards as well. So I'll open this up here. It's got a nice little insert as well for the deck of cards. And then we've got our SpongeBob coin. It's along the lines of a poker chip, except it really doesn't feel like the same material that you'll see poker chips. Of course, it is a little bit of a hologram on both sides. Ooh. But kind of cool. You're supposed to use this as marking the current player. There is, if you're familiar with Fluxx, there is a rule that will come into play also because of that. I don't know. Most people don't really need a current player marker in a game of Fluxx, but this is included. And as I mentioned, there is also the additional rule card to bring this into, it's already in play, but it actually matters when that comes into play. All right. So kind of show the back of the box real quick. I like the fact that we've got artwork from Nickelodeon as well in each of the cards. So I thought that's kind of cool. So I'm going to share the different decks of cards that we've got. keeping in mind that all of these cards will be shuffled together into one deck. So we got goal cards, new rule cards, keeper cards, action cards. So first off, let's take a look at our basic rule card. So this is going to stay out on the table. This is the basic rule. Pretty simple. You're going to start off in Fluxx. You're going to draw a card. You're going to play a card. Each of the players will receive 3 cards to start the game. Whoever goes first draws a card, plays a card. That said, this will not remain in place very long because there are rule cards that will supersede this. They will essentially replace these. So one constant in Fluxx is things change constantly. So we have goal cards. So the goal cards are used to win the game. So essentially, we will have a single goal card in play out on the table at any time. Now, if you happen to have the keeper cards, which I'm going to talk about next, these are the keepers. If you have the keeper cards that correspond with this goal on the table in play, then you are a winner. Then you win the game. These goals get changed rapidly throughout the game. So you really have to pay attention to the goal that's currently in place, because if you're not paying attention, you could win and end up not winning because you didn't notice that you've won the game and people just keep moving along. Because, like I said, one constant in Fluxx is things are rapidly changing. So you need to pay attention in the game. But like I said, if you had the Pineapple House and SpongeBob, you'd be the winner. Now, if somebody plays one of their cards happens to be a goal, then that goal will replace the current goal. And this becomes our new goal that all the players are competing to have those keepers in play. So we've got the Krusty Krab and Krabby Patty. So if you've got those keepers in front of you, you'd be the winner. And like I said, things are going to change all the time, like the evil twin with Doodle Bub. So these are the goal cards. Then we've got the keeper cards. The keeper cards are how you win the game. So you're going to have various keeper cards. When you play them, you're going to play them in front of you. Now, it's possible to steal cards, keepers from other players, remove keepers as well. So you may not necessarily have these keepers in front of you for very long, but to kind of give you an idea, remember I had the goal here of who lives in a pineapple under the sea? If you had these 2 keepers in play, you'd be the winner. You would win that game of Fluxx. So once again, one of the aspects of Fluxx is you're going to draw a card, you're going to play a card. Sometimes, depending on new rules, you may be able to do different things, but that is essentially it. One of the things you can do if you have a keeper in your hand is play the keeper in front of you. That's a legitimate action. You can play your keeper, any one of these keeper cards in front of you. As far as the deck goes, the deck contains gold cards. That is the most. Those are the most. Kind of give you an idea of the size of the number of gold cards compared to the number of keeper cards. Fewest cards in the deck are the action cards, which I will talk about last. Then we got new rule cards. So we get new rule cards that can come into play as well. So we're looking at, for an example, if I played this, the new rule would be play all but one. And I would place this like so, because it's replacing the play rule. So I would put that in play on, and that would stay on the front, I should say on the table in front of everyone. So the new rules could basically be draw a card and you can play all but one of the cards you have in your hand. To start off with, the game does not have any hand limit restrictions. You can have any number of cards in your hand. There are rule cards, bam, right there, hand limit. becomes 1. So when you have a rule like this, what you'll essentially do, well, I guess I don't have to move it that far over, is you've got your basic rules here. This rule would go off to the side. Keeping in mind, it does not replace this rule because this replaces the play rule. This replaces the hand limit. Now, if I had something here in the deck, let's look through here real quick. Okay, here's another one, hand limit 2. So if somebody decided later on to play that card, then this would be replaced by the new hand limit 2 card. So you can actually have 3 new rules in play at one time. One for draws, one for the plays, and one for hand limits. We have other things that are free actions as far as the new rule that can come into play. Narrator's voice, start of turn option. If you start your turn by saying, the filling in the blank with something from the ocean, draw 1 extra card. So you can have these new rules. This is kind of a standalone rule as well. So you can have all these different rules in play. Once again, another reason why you need to pay attention to what's going on in the game, because things are moving fast and furious. Also, we have actions. So the actions are effectively just kind of one-shots. So if you play an action, for an example, trash keeper, take a keeper from in front of any player, put it on the discard pile. Jackpot! Draw 3 extra cards. Draw 2 and use them. So you would essentially draw 2 cards from the deck and immediately use those 2 cards. So this is a good example of when you need to kind of be paying attention. So let's say, as an example, I had, and of course, your table layout's not going to look like this. Let's say I had SpongeBob and the Pineapple House as keepers that are sitting in front of me. They're my keepers. They belong to me. Because I'm hoping at some point, maybe we get this gold card. So let's say somebody plays a draw 2 and use them, and they get these 2. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? And let's go jellyfishing. So they're both goals. So first off, we know this goal is going to replace whatever goal we had out on the table. And as an example, let's just say it was biggest fans that was sitting out on the table. So whenever we play a goal card, it replaces the goal card that's already in play. So if the player who drew those 2 cards noticed that, hey, you've got the SpongeBob and the Pineapple House, and they draw 2 of these, they'll play that, and then they would play this to replace it. When that card comes out, you've won. You've got to point out, hey, I win. Because if the goal is in play at any time, which you have to drop it down to replace it, you're a winner. So as I, once again, will reiterate, when you're playing Fluxx, you need to pay attention to what's going on at the table. All right. So those are the cards that make up the deck. So essentially what's going to happen is you are going to have your hand of cards, and you're going to be continually, I should say, angling to try to complete the goal that's out on the table. There's really no strategy involved in Fluxx. There's no planning ahead or anything like that. You are essentially going to be sitting there and trying to fly by the seat of your pants as you play the game. So there is a lot of luck involved. I know there are people out there who really love Fluxx because of the chaotic nature of the game. There are other people out there who are not big fans of Fluxx because of the chaotic nature of the game. So I found playing the SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx to have a little less take that, or at least it felt like there was a little less take that involved in the game than in normal games of Fluxx or some of the other editions of Fluxx I have played in the past. Also, do want to mention it is possible for a game to be finished before, let's say you're playing 5 players. You might have somebody win the game before the 5th player even gets an opportunity to play. It happens. You can also have situations where the game will kind of drag on and on and on just because the cards aren't lining up. It happens. It does happen. They both happen very, very rarely. So normally you're probably looking, depending on how many players you've got, about 15 to 20 minutes for a game of Fluxx. But that said, sometimes it can end like that. And other times the game can kind of drag on a little bit. So that is a bit of a look at the different kind of cards that are in the SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx, as well as some thoughts about how to play. And let's swing on over to the other camera and I will share my final thoughts and provide a review score. So what do I think of SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx? Let me start off and just mention that if you are familiar with the Fluxx series of games, this isn't going to change how you feel about that game. So if you are a fan of Fluxx, you really enjoy Fluxx, you will really enjoy SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx. If you're not a fan of Fluxx, then I have to point out, you're still not going to be a fan of SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx. I personally like Fluxx fine enough. I get a kick out of it. If you've never played any of the Fluxx games out there, let me point out, this is very, very chaotic. You have to really pay attention to what's going on at the table. You can't just zone out when it's not your turn because, number one, the turns move really quick, usually. And if you're not paying attention and you have keepers out in front of you, it's very possible you'll miss an opportunity to actually win the game. And that makes the game drag on a bit longer when people aren't paying attention and they could have won. Speaking of dragging on, it is also possible that you're sitting there and just continually playing through and nobody gets that right combination of keepers and goal card out there on the table to wrap up. That's why it does state the game plays in about 10 to 40 minutes. That's a pretty large swing. Now, also do want to mention with more players, say you're playing with 6 players, it is possible, it is within the realm of possibility that the game can be over before the 6th player even gets to take their turn. It does happen very rarely, but once again, that can take place. And sometimes people get a little ticked off when they didn't even get a chance to take a turn. But then again, the game was over so fast, you can play right away, play it again. So, but I do want to mention that. So if you've never played Fluxx, I got to say, if you like chaos, if you like playing seat of your pants, where you're always kind of keeping your eye out on what's going on around the table, you'll like Fluxx. If you are a gamer who I tend to be like this myself, who enjoys sitting there and trying to plot out their next moves, maybe a turn or two ahead, then of course Fluxx isn't going to be your cup of tea simply because it is so chaotic and random. That said, I like Fluxx. It's fun. It's a nice little wind up, wind down game for your gaming night. Do keep in mind, like I said, it can end like that, or it can drag on a little bit. But for the most part, you'll be done playing in about 20 minutes. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give SpongeBob SquarePants Fluxx a 7. As I started in my final thoughts by pointing out, if you like Fluxx, you will definitely dig SpongeBob Squarepants Fluxx. You'll love it if you also happen to be a big fan of the Nickelodeon series. If you don't care for Fluxx, this is not going to change your mind on it at all. All right, so that is it for this time out. As I like to mention, if you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and ring the notification bell because it will not only let you know when I upload brand new videos such as my reviews and interviews, unboxings, page throughs, so on and so forth. It'll also let you know when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube Monday through Thursday nights as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, so until I see you next time, as I've been kind of closing out these videos during this pandemic, let me once again remind everybody out there, please be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.